Springfield's News Talk FM 104.1 KSGF. It is 8:08. Good morning. It is going to be a cold day today. A high of only 35 is expected, but the weather expected to get much, much nicer in the coming days, particularly this weekend. Highs in the 60s. Believe it or not, some beautiful weather. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, is the Pineapple Whip done?
Oh, yeah, you missed that.
I missed it.
Weekend.
Man, I forgot about it until now. Well, just another reason that my life is a horrible, horrible cesspool of disappointments. Just mark it up to another one. Well, it'll be back this summer. So we aren't even into February yet, I should warn people, because I know I was listening to a conversation yesterday, and they said, oh, can you believe? I mean, we only had that one snow. I'm like, it's not even February yet, just because it's going to be 60 this weekend. Let's not get all excited.
It's going to be one of those years where it snows in March.
Probably. Was that 4 years ago? Didn't I have to come get you one day?
Yeah.
Didn't I pick you up?
You picked me up several times.
It's because I'm
nice.
an
You're a nice
explorer. I am like a warrior.
Well, you don't
And
mind the snow because you lived in Wisconsin.
Oh, I did. I did live in Wisconsin for a while. Plus, I'm a warrior. Here's Dave Meese with the latest news.
Well, it was 1 year ago today that a Springfield police officer was shot in the head while checking on suspicious activity at a local business. A 7-hour manhunt ensued, and Joshua Haygood was arrested and charged in the shooting. Officer Aaron Pearson has made remarkable progress during his rehabilitation and has made several appearances at fundraisers. And a man with a long history of felony convictions, mostly for theft, will be going to prison. Billy Dean Lutz from Republic pleaded guilty to breaking into people's cars, taking credit cards and money. He even pleaded guilty to assaulting a woman who caught him in the act. Lutz got 14 years in prison. The governor is trying to help the state and local agencies, in addition to nonprofits that helped people out during the historic flooding in late December and early January. He's asking the federal government to expand the disaster declaration to include those agencies for their costs they incurred helping people deal with flooding. And that's news.
The KTTS First Alert forecast brought to you by Air Services All Service Plumbing. Cloudy and colder today with a high of 35. Tonight partly cloudy, 23 for a low. Tomorrow 45. Thursday 51, and Friday and Saturday looking for a high of 62. Still 29 and cloudy at Springfield's News Talk FM 104.1 KSGF. Friday, though several days away, it will be here before you know it. We will be at Brick's Belgian Waffle and Pancake House in Ozark, that's sponsored by Elite Arms on South Campbell. We've got a couple of things. Just forewarning you, particularly those of you that always join us on Friday. Well, most of you show up as soon as the doors open, but it's probably going to be pretty busy, busier than usual. One, we have Heroes Breakfast. This is where our friends at Kelly's Police and Tactical Supply and Wireless Trends buy breakfast for veterans, the breakfast special. You come out between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning this Friday while we're out there, and just find Courtney and, tell her you're a vet, and she'll give you a coupon that you'll in turn give to Rebecca, who takes care of all of us in there, and you will get the breakfast special for free. Also, the night before, that is this Thursday, there's a gubernatorial debate / forum in Springfield. And so a number of those candidates will be with us Friday morning at Brick's Belgian Waffle and Pancake House in Ozark. One of those will be Eric Greitens. Another one will be Catherine Hanaway. We're still waiting to hear about Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder and John Bruner. He was actually with us this past Friday out there. So that way we've got everybody in there. I'll give you a chance to come out and meet with those folks if you'd like to, ask them questions and just have some fantastic breakfast. It is 29 degrees now at 8:12, streaming live, KSGF.com.
Back to KSGF Mornings with Nick Reed on 104.1 KSGF, Springfield's News Talk FM.
Springfield's News Talk FM, 104.1 KSGF. And good morning, I'm Nick Reed. We had Dee Wampler this morning in studio, and we actually have a bunch of people. Did anybody want to talk? Say anything? I didn't ask anyone if they wanted to. Anyone? Why don't you? I keep looking. You're wearing our visitor name tags, and I keep looking to see if they're named so I can call you out. I was fortunate enough to work with a number of students at Glendale High School on a project they were working on. This was several months ago, and got to go a couple of different occasions. and chat with them and work with them. And so some of them expressed an interest in coming here and just seeing how radio is done, and so they're in studio with us. Who do we have? Whoever doesn't want to talk, that's absolutely fine. If you do, then that's cool as well. This is really informal. This is not by any stretch of the imagination what some people would call a professional radio show. I don't worry about such things, which makes it a lot easier, lower expectations. So start with you.
I'm Emma, and I'm a freshman at Glendale.
All right. Yeah, you can just pull the mic over.
I'm Jesse, and I'm a freshman at Glendale.
I'm Landon. I'm also a freshman at Glendale.
All right. Anyone else? No? No? Okay, that's cool. So you said you were going to be silent now.
Yeah. Well, I changed my mind.
Good.
Well, I'm Quan, and I'm a freshman at Glendale, and my sister's sitting right next to me, Kia. She's a freshman, too.
All right. So we got a lot of freshmen. So you guys did this. It was a project that was done in the format of radio, a radio broadcast, and you're to do a radio show, and it was sort of to cover historically the late 20s, around that era, and also to throw in, I guess, culturally some stuff referencing To Kill a Mockingbird. And so going into it, what you just conceptually thinking, I have no concept of how to do this, or did you have some concept? Because a lot of people growing up, radio in terms of audio, I mean, that's what you listen to. But now, of course, there's podcast and streaming, and I mean, there's just every source under the sun. So is it somewhat a foreign idea concept?
Going into it, I really had no clue what was going on. They just said, write this, then talk about it.
Was I helpful at all?
I wasn't there the day you.
Oh, okay.
You were quite helpful.
Okay, well, thank you very much. You can come back here anytime that you want to.
Yes.
You're still up in the air. No, I'm just kidding.
I like you so far.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, very good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, this isn't a media course per se. So, I mean, do any of you have interest in any form of media at all, or did you not? You do now, or you did, and now you're like, no, I don't think so?
I like social media.
Yes, social media?
It's a lot harder than I expected. It takes a lot of time.
Emma got very frustrated.
What was the most? Can you pull the mic a little closer? What was the most frustrating part? Actually, why don't you get on that microphone over there? That way you both can. It'll be got you all tied up. It'll sound a little better for us. There you go.
The hardest part was we used Audacity, and it's a program for audio, and it was horrible because if you didn't want to do things in order, like you had to do everything in order, and if you wanted to switch it around, it was awful. It took like a long time.
We lost a lot of our things that we had to re-record.
The advancement of technology, I have found, is, well, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, once you get it down pat, it kind of makes things easier. But when it goes wrong, it's horribly wrong. And that learning curve, it can be a pain. Because there was a time where it was all done live or it was just on tape, like reel to reel. And if you edited stuff, you took a razor blade and you cut the tape and taped it back together. That was done some places 20 years ago even. Now, you would have been.
We should have printed it out.
Say that, and you know what? That could be a thing. Like all sort of nostalgia, go back to the old reel-and-reel radio.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
We should have a unit.
Next project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were interested, but now, or it's much harder than you thought it was?
Yeah, it took like 20 minutes if something was out of order to flip it around and mess with all the audio, and it's not, well, I didn't label it. I don't know if you can do that, but so you have to like listen to it over and over again.
Well, I appreciate you guys letting me come. Not that you really had much choice. You're a teacher here who was kind enough to ask me to come and talk with you guys because I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it, and I hope at least that, I don't know if you got much out of it, but something, just a little bit.
It was cool. I was driving here, and I was listening, and as I pulled up, I was like, I can hear them and see them.
At the same time.
Yeah, I was like,
there's
oh,
spaces
wow.
to the name.
That's crazy. Well, yeah, but most of you actually saw me before you heard me. So it was a little backwards. Were you going to hang out for the rest of the hour? I'm going to do some regular show stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to school.
Okay,
We'll talk about politics.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, we can do that. Springfield's News Talk FM 104.1 KSGF. I'm Nick Reed. Springfield's News Talk FM 104.1 KSGF. Hello. I'm Nick Reed. We've had in studio with us, at times silent, other times not, Glendale High School students. And the reason they're here is I was fortunate enough sometime last year to come and speak with them about radio because of a project they were working on. And I had been contacted by their teacher, Mr. Nordine. Is it Nordine or Nordine? Is it
Nordine?
Okay, Nordine. I just assumed, but I thought, I don't know that I actually ever said it. And you had mentioned in the initial email, like I think you referred to it as Quest or Quest program, and I wasn't exactly sure what it was, and we had a chance to talk a little bit about it. And I think people who have not been in the public schools for some time have in their heads the very conventional, you go to school and everyone has 8 hours or 7 hours, and you have certain classes, and that's it. Everybody sort of has the same thing that's going on, and once you get up into the junior and senior, maybe you can choose between chemistry and physics and so forth. But it isn't necessarily that way. And can you explain what this Quest program is? Because I found this interesting.
Yeah. Quest is a project-based learning program that we started last year. We are a member of the New Tech Network that focuses mainly on project-based learning. So what we do is, instead of a traditional learning environment where students come and they sit in a chair, they listen to a teacher lecture, talk to them the whole time, we may have moments like that. We call them workshops, but we really kind of give them the freedoms because we want to try to simulate what it would be like in the real world when you don't have someone directly looking over your shoulder and you're not told to be quiet. We embrace technology and trying to teach them the abilities that they can have. They're, if you want to do this particular thing at this time, that's okay. It's whatever you want to do to get to the end result. So. Now,
you mentioned end result, and a lot of people hear this, and they think because of stories they hear and everybody gets precipitation ribbons. When we talk about letting kids find their own path, they think that means no matter what path is chosen, everybody wins. Is that a fair characterization of this? Or okay, you can find your own path, you can determine how to get there, but you will be held accountable for your end result.
Well, yeah, they're still held accountable, just like it would be in a working situation. I mean, your boss, your manager may tell you have to do this by the certain time frame. And they're going to expect that you're going to find a way. And if you need help along the way, you'll ask questions. And that's really what we try to install in our learners here, is that we want them to be self-directed and try to give them the experiences that oftentimes people don't get while they're in high school. Yeah. And they find out kind of the hard way sometimes in reality. And it's just a different way to learn. And it gives them an opportunity to do different projects and different aspects. And, we're still building the program. We're working on what senior year might look like for our current juniors next year. So,
I think that many people felt, I don't know how much time I spent thinking about it, but there were sort of two ways to go about it. There was the one way where, like you mentioned, it's almost micromanaging of students, hovering over the whole way in order to make sure they learn. And then some people would argue, well, that's good because then they get out and they're disciplined, they know how. But then others would argue, yeah, but if they don't have somebody there micromanaging them, all of a sudden they don't know how to discipline themselves. Then there's the other way, which I mentioned earlier. They think, oh, well, if you have the find your own way, then the problem is there's no one that says here's the end point, and so then they're totally lost. This sounds like, to me, a third way in which there is the sense of responsibility that is put upon them. So there's not the micromanaging, but it isn't everybody wins in the end either. I mean, here's the result we're looking for, and it's almost sort of a molding of critical thinking, I suppose.
And that's one of the key components that we want, is the critical thinking aspect. We want them to be able to think for themselves. And I think it's kind of a combination of all of it, because I would assume that if you ask any one of these young individuals in this room right now, there are times when I will go kind of old school and I will micromanage, and there's times when conflicts arise within groups and we have to sit down and...
You create like a circle and have them fight it out?
It's not... I mean, it's... It's not.
Circle of death.
It's not quite a gladiator combat style.
Oh, we have a new opening in the program all of a sudden.
And but we want them to be able to think about what what problems led up to this point,
Mm-hmm.
how can they fix it along the way, and the key component is just we want them to be able to learn to work with other people and to critical think about stuff instead of just sitting there taking notes, memorizing facts and information, and then taking a test. And they still take assessments. We still have them write. We still have them take tests and quizzes along the way. But for us, the end result is we want to be able to measure what they learned based on what they did, not just that they memorized facts and information and put it onto a bubble test or a written test.
Mr. Nording's with us this morning, Glendale High School, with some of his students. And there was, I guess it was that first day that I was there, and I sort of walked around with you after, spoke to the class. And there was a couple of exchanges that I found very interesting. And the students, they would ask you a question about, and just to be a straightforward question, and then oftentimes you would ask them a question back. Well, essentially saying, well, what do you think?
It's very annoying.
Well,
Figure it out on your own.
But let me tell you why I thought that is really fantastic, because not just young people, I think we are depriving ourselves of learning how or evolving into critical thinkers because information is so easily accessible. You can Google anything. You don't even really have to try to figure stuff out anymore because everything is there. When I was younger and, you'd use calculators, and grandparents would say, we didn't used to have calculators. We used to have to figure it out.
Or they had the abacus.
Yeah, it had an abacus or something. We had to figure it out. And now, it's just, it is so easy never to have to think about anything. Now, there are advantages. You can become more efficient and so forth. But I think what it also does is it makes people instinctively just ask a question that they otherwise could figure out themselves. And I've often thought that before, because I'm around. I've got a stepdaughter and a nephew and stuff, and just how quickly young people that just ask, well, where's this? Do you know where this is? Where are my shoes? I'm like, did you even look? Well, no. Well, look. That's what I did when I was. But we're just so instinctive now to just ask someone for the answer to stuff. And so when I saw that happening, I thought, that is something that you didn't used to have to teach, that I think now has to be taught. And I thought that was really interesting.
Last year with some of our current juniors, they weren't even in my class, and I was in a room with them, and they were working on a project on their own, and they had asked me a question, and I did exactly what you said. I responded with a question back because in my head, and this is going to sound probably not nice, I didn't like their question. It was very simple. It was very basic.
I like the way you do it because you answer it in a way to help us. Like, you ask a question in a way to make us rethink our question, like in a different way to make us think about another way to answer it.
And my end result is I want them to be able to, if they're asking better questions and they've put thought into those questions, then I don't mind helping them out if they've truly put the effort through to figure out what that question is. The downside is, kind of like what you said, as a history teacher, I do kind of feel like I can be obsolete because they can watch the History Channel.
Sure.
They can go on Wikipedia. They can go on whatever they want to find the information. So this program has allowed me to be more of an educator, and they ask better questions, and usually by the time I would get to tell them the answer, they've already asked the question well enough or even better that they have figured out what the answer is.
I think a lot of people, we've become very cynical for warranted reasons, I think. And when we hear about new programs in public schools, we just instinctively, oh, here we go. Here's just some sort of hoity-toity, creative new way of learning or something. But I have been very adamant in my belief that part of the problem today is that we too often teach people what to learn, not how to learn. And particularly on university campuses, we don't teach how to think. We teach them what to think, not how to think. And I felt like, in my just initial glance and conversation with you, that seems to be a goal, if not the goal, of the Quest program, is not teaching what to think, but how to think. You're asking me, what is the answer to this? Well, instead of just telling you what the answer is, how, is there a way to figure it out? And I'm not talking even necessarily complex stuff, but just that everyday instinct to, instead of, okay, I don't know the answer to something, instead of the first reaction being ask someone, being, okay, wait, can I figure this out on my own?
Yeah, and that's what we're doing with this new project that we're working on. We're doing it in the context of the civil rights era, but we're asking them to look out into the community and see if there's an issue that they want to try to address and create a organization, a grassroots organization, just like they did back in the 1950s and 60s. My junior class that I'm working with, we're ending one project now, but we're getting geared up to do a Shark Tank style project where they're going to look out and try to figure out what is something that could be in need and how can we go about creating it, and working with partners in the community, have them come in and just like we have with you, come in and help give feedback, and that's kind of important to them, is because they get the actual feedback from the people as opposed to just the teacher saying,
right,
you get 90%, you get an A, you get a B, or you failed on this, and people do struggle sometimes with this, but the one nice thing about having these kids with me for the entire year is I can see them when they were raw on the very first day, and then the end result at the end of the year. There's so much improvement in them because I think that some of them, or a lot of them, have gained this self-confidence and be able to speak up like they do now, every now and then.
You're too big for your britches, maybe. That's an old-time saying. Well, I appreciate you guys all coming in, and you're welcome anytime. And on Fridays, we're down at Brick's Belgian Waffle and Pancake House, so you can come and eat That's what while I'm doing the show, I'm eating breakfast. It's totally awesome. There aren't a lot of jobs.
That was a good little plug while he's talking.
Yeah, see, that's right.
Really smooth transition.
And you didn't even notice it happen. It's because I'm very good at what I do. Well, you can still come and eat. Veterans just get free breakfast. Yeah, waffles. They have fried chicken. They have anything you can imagine. It's delicious.
Take a field trip?
I'm not cooking for you.
I take a field trip?
You won't have to. If you go down there every Friday. We're there every Friday. And you can come before school. What time do you have to be at school?
8:20.
See.
Late
they
start.
open Friday. They open at 6:30.
That's too early.
So you can come. Well, I appreciate it very much. Thank you so very much for coming. It has been a pleasure. We'll wrap things up here in just a couple of moments. I'm Nick Reed.